This is the April 28th business meeting of the Rochester Board of Education. I am President Cynthia Elliott, and we're going to get started with our meeting. I'm going to call the act of reverence for pledging of allegiance to the flag. So if you so desire, please stand, and I'll lead you into the pledge today. That's not something I normally do. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, and so I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Wade to provide us with the upcoming events of the board. Ms. Wade?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to the board business meeting for the month of April. I'm just going to run through the meetings for the month of May. On Tuesday, we will have a special meeting for the consideration of resolutions. That will start at 5:30. Immediately following that, we will have our policy and audit committees of the whole. We will have on Thursday a charter school public hearing at 5 p.m., following which we will have a work session that is closed to the public. On Thursday, we will have our budget deliberation at 5:30. And we do encourage folks to join us for a second deliberation, which will be on the schools sections. The information regarding the budget is posted to the website, so we do encourage you to visit www.rcsdk12.org/budget to follow all the budget events. There will be a work session on the facilities modernization program on May 12th, and that will be held via Zoom video conferencing. And then we will have our ESA Equity and Student Achievement Committee on May 17th. Finally, our business meeting will take place on May 26th. And prior to that, we will be recognizing the employees of the district at our employee recognition at 4 p.m. And that business meeting and recognition program will take place via Zoom. I did want to call everyone's attention, as this is new. President Elliott will be and has been taking members of the Rcsd staff to visit her during office hours. And you can do that by visiting our website and signing up. I'm actually going to show you now on screen how you could sign up as an employee of the district, how to sign up for office hours with President Elliott. All you would need to do is go to the district website and select the Board of Education tab at the top here. On the side, you will see on the right-hand side a prompt to sign up for a 30-minute time slot. Office hours are Monday evenings, starting at 5 p.m., and you would be able to sign up for a 30-minute time slot here. Once you sign up, of course, the month of April is over, so for May, you will see all Mondays are highlighted there. You'd be able to sign up for a half-an-hour time slot starting at 5. And a member of staff will contact you and provide you further details after you sign up. So we do encourage members of staff, if you're interested, Mondays moving forward, you can take your office hours with our president. And that is it.
Thank you. And I would just, I would love to have an opportunity to speak with our staff and to, just stop by. I've had, one staff member, just because the opportunity was available, just decided to stop by. And so please feel free to sign up. I'd love to have the opportunity to have some conversation with you. So thank you. That is for you. And I look forward to having conversations with some of you in the future. Thank you so very much. So next item on the agenda is the acceptance of minutes. So can I get a motion for the approval of the minutes of March 18th, 2022 and March 29th, 2022. And that was moved by Commissioner Malloy. Can I get a second?
Second.
And that was seconded by Vice President LeBron. Any questions with regard to the minutes? All right. And let me just welcome Commissioner Powell and Commissioner Adams. They are on Zoom, and I think we also have on Zoom Dr. Jallo is also on Zoom, and I'm not sure who else is on Zoom, but welcome. So they're visiting with us via Zoom. Any questions? No questions. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, carried unanimously. The next item on the agenda is speakers list, and I'm going to turn that over to our board clerk so that she can call those speakers.
1 minute, I'm just finalizing the votes here. Commissioner Powell and Commissioner Adams, I've taken your votes electronically, okay? Sounds good. So at this time, we will take our speakers, and we actually have 7 speakers tonight. The first 3 are students, and so I'm going to call Sarah Adams to speak on the budget at this time. She is joining us on Zoom, and so we're going to welcome her into the room now.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Whenever you're ready, you have
Okay.
3 minutes.
All right, my name is Sarah Adams, and I'm here today to start by saying that there needs to be some more transparency as far as the budget being accessible and understandable. Is it echoing?
It is echoing. If you have another feed going, you might need to turn that off. Okay?
Okay.
Look at it.
Sorry. Okay. I'm here to say that there needs to be more transparency as far as the budget being accessible and understandable for everyone, especially including students. I also wanted to talk about food. I know just as well as anyone else that the lunch that we're served is not okay. It doesn't taste good and it's not appealing. For so many students in the district, the food that they get at school is really the only meal that they get. And it doesn't make sense for them to have to be forced to eat it because it's all they have and for it to not taste good. The salad bars that was mentioned before is a good addition, but with the budget, with this year having so much money in the budget, I feel like there needs to be more. Knowing that a lot of the money is one time, that could be used to invest in better kitchens so that the staff can do more than just, reheat meals from the fridge. And another option is negotiating what options we have when it comes to the current meals we're served, especially since the district serves so many students. We should be able to get good, high quality school lunch. And I think so many students would not want to spend so much money because so many kids I know leave school to go get lunch. And I feel like students shouldn't rather want to go spend their money than get, the food that's provided at school. But because it's so bad, so many kids do leave for lunch. And I think just with the budget having so much money this year, now's the time to really invest in food. Because it really is an issue, and I feel like a lot of students can agree with me on that, and I just wanted to say that. So hopefully you guys will consider making sure you prioritize getting better school lunches when you make the final decisions.
Thank you, Sarah. We appreciate you speaking to the board tonight, and have a good evening. Our next speaker is Shania Ruth, and I hope I pronounced that well. Shania is also a student, and she will be addressing the board regarding the budget, and she's on Zoom. Are you there? She's still connecting now. Okay. Shania, are you there now? While we have Shania joining, I'm going to try and take the other student. Shania, are you there now?
Can everyone
We
hear
can
me?
hear you. We can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, whenever you're ready, you have 3 minutes, okay?
Okay. Okay. So first, hi guys, I'm Shania. I'm a senior at Worcester Magna High School. I feel as though it would be better for $3 million to be contributed to our RCSD budget for better school lunching. um, from the time I was younger, me and fellow students struggled tremendously due to the school lunches. Um, I got food poisoning, terrible stomach pains, as well as sickness that was very traumatizing. Not traumatizing to only me, but the the elementary. um, the food has been terrible. It's cold. It's raw. It's not really appetizing. Obesity leads to it could lead to diabetes. It leads to hunger. It leads being as so young, being in elementary school and not having food like this is terrible. I find it not right that college students the age of me is 10-year-olds in elementary school. It's not right at all because students don't always have the option to eat at home. So the other option is to eat at and it's fairly limited because it's either you eat at either school lunches that are raw and cold or at all. I feel like with having so much money, I feel as though since our food is cold and we don't have a proper kitchen in many city schools, I feel as though it would be better to have instead of having a warmer, it would be better to have a microwave, a stove, be in a kitchen. I feel like I should be prepared better. I feel like it would be better for since it's over with me. I spent like 12 years in the city school, and I feel like I have not yet had a decent meal for lunch. It traumatized me to the point where I will not ever even look at a school lunch again and attempt to eat it. Um, it's very traumatizing. The school lunches no one really eats that I have seen. We just throw it away because it's not really appetizing. It's not really healthy if you want to, be cool. It's not even. It shouldn't even be fed to a human. So I think like with there's so much money in our budget. I feel like it would be better to have actual utensils and utilities that would be better for city schools. Just having you know microwaves and actual like uh things to like help our food be better and more appetizing. Thank you.
Thank you, Shania. We were having a little bit of technical difficulties with you, so we couldn't, you were breaking up quite a bit. So if you do want to also submit your comments in writing, I would really encourage it because it was a little hard to make you out, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome and have a good night. Our next speaker is another student, Kennedy Johnson. And I do understand that Kennedy is ready and available on Zoom, and she is also joining on and speaking on the budget. Kennedy, are you there? Kennedy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, wonderful. Whenever you're ready, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Hello, my name is Kennedy Hawkins, and I'm a senior at World of Inquiry School number 58. My main concern with this proposal is the lack of coherency and directness. How so many of these proposals mentioned are unclear and lack nuance. It has been relayed numerous times by parents and community members alike that it's hard to read, much less understand. Now transfer this to students, many of which live in a currently underfunded school with a lack of resources as is. How are we meant to understand this? Disregarding the disjointedness within the proposal, a main topic I'd like to surround my message around is the mental health aspect of it. As we all know, COVID-19 and the 2 years we have had of virtual schooling has stunted the growth of all of our students, emotionally and especially socially. As I'm sure we're all aware, behavioral issues have spiked ever since we've returned from the pandemic, and many of these issues have been met with retaliation instead of understanding. In recognition of these issues, many teachers have subsequently quit their jobs because of the sheer stress of trying to raise, not teach, 8th graders who still have the mindsets of 6th graders. So not only do we, the students, have the stresses of returning from a pandemic, which we are still in the midst of, we also have to have a constant rotation of teachers, none of them consistent. As you might understand by now, this is a significant problem. All of this is to say, how are we going to maintain the mental health and stability of students and teachers alike? The proposition at hand is vague at best, stating that money is going to be allocated towards the mental health spaces, but what exactly does this entail? How will you all ensure that all goes according to plan? How will you all ensure that these mental health spaces will actually be proactive? Will all students of all schools be allotted money for mental health areas? Because my school wasn't mentioned, as well as numerous others. Do we simply not get one? How long do we have to wait for stable de-stress areas? And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Kennedy. We do appreciate your comments tonight. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is joining us in person. I'm trying to see if she's here. Myrna Gonzalez, a parent. And her topic is board members. Is Myrna here? Myrna, are you there? I know she was here in the building, but not seeing her. So I'm going to try and move on to the next speaker just in the case. We have Jacqueline Colon, a parent, also speaking on the topic of board members. Is Jacqueline here? No, not seeing Jacqueline. And so I'm going to move on to our next speaker, who is Edward Donnelly, a community member who is speaking on RIA. Okay, Mr. Donnelly is joining us on Zoom, so we're going to welcome him. And if we do get Myrna or Jacqueline, we will take them. Okay, Mr. Donnelly is joining us on. Edward, are you on Zoom with us now? Edward, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Wonderful. Edward, whenever you're ready, you have 3 minutes and welcome.
Thank you very much. I've been here before, so dear President Elliott, Vice President LeBron, the commissioners, and if Dr. Myers-Small and Dr. Black and the cabinet in the room, thank you. I've addressed you before by Zoom and by emails as a RIA advisory board member and director of Friends of RIA. To restore RIA to a K-12 two-year program again, I watched you all during Tuesday's first budget deliberation meeting, and I decided I should speak again for 2 reasons. First of all, to thank VP LeBron for chairing the challenging process and all the commissioners for asking such thoughtful, insightful questions that helped make this opaque budget proposal somewhat more transparent and a little more understandable. I sadly took this for granted for many years when I was a suburban taxpayer who voted on a budget. Now we totally rely on our commissioners, and I'm impressed. You really are taking this serious and trying to get this right, and in a way that parents and students in the community can understand. So thank you. Second, I'd like to thank President Elliott, Vice President LeBron, and the other commissioners who have publicly supported restoring RIA to a K-12 two-year program again. The questions I heard asked on Tuesday gave us some hope that you expect RIA K-12 program to be restored. And clearly in the budget, since this shouldn't be a budget burden, but just shifting resources that are already in place and using them more wisely. So this may be my last appeal during the budget cycle. On behalf of the RIA Advisory Board and the 16 community organizations you've heard from, a grassroots group that supports the restoration of RIA K-12 two-year program, and the over 650 now petition signatures requesting RIA's restoration, and for the new Americans coming into our country, hoping for a better life, who need the support that RIA offers for all their children and their families. Now is really the best time to reverse the harm 2 years ago, removing K-6 from RIA, and separating families who need to be really kept together at this time when they're new to this country. The refugee community is waiting to hear from our superintendent and our cabinet to support them. So as a board, please continue to expect an amended school budget for the next year to make RIA whole again so families can keep their children together in the highest quality program I've seen during the first 2 years in their new country, our city, in our school district. Thank you all, and keep the fight going. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Donnelly. We appreciate you addressing the board tonight. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Angie Rivera, a staff member who is speaking on RAP retro pay, and she is in person, so I'm welcoming her up to the podium. Press it, is it on?
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Angie Rivera. I am the RAP president, and I'm speaking tonight on behalf of all my paraprofessional and teaching assistants working in the Rochester City School District. We RAP members are frustrated and upset of how we are treated in general. The lack of respect for RAP members is not right. We ratified the RAP contract back in December 23rd. We have not received retro pay or not have an estimate date on when we're gonna receive that payment. I am not even sure that payroll is working on calculating this retro pay. Our members are the lowest paid staff in the district, working second jobs to make ends meet. They need the money now. They need it now, not later. We have filed grievances for members who are entitled to retro pay for toileting. This doesn't have anything to do with the retro pay for the increases because of the contract. This retro, the district will not want to pay it now. They want to pay until they calculate all the retro payments. We are talking about retro pay that members were working in September, October, and November. It's May, almost May already. We need the retro now. We don't need to wait until maybe June for these 3 members to receive the payment that is due to them. That is unacceptable and unfair. We're asking that they get paid now. They have waited enough. Some paraprofessionals are also waiting for payment for staying late with the buses that happened September to December. They were waiting with the students because the buses were late. They were promised that they were gonna get paid. They had not been paid because there is not a code. They need a code to put that time in people's stuff. No one has a code. That's unacceptable. I do not understand. We do not understand. They are very, very frustrated. During COVID, many members were out there and they buy laptops and Chromebooks and tablets because they didn't have a device from the district. We talk about equity all the time, but how is it possible that some administrators were able to secure laptops or Chromebooks for some of the members? Edison, Nome High School, most likely East High School. But others administrators were not able to secure laptops or Chromebooks for other members. The response I received is, we do not have a long-range budget to support buying additional devices for the rest of the members. Also, when members who feel unsafe and make a report or a claim or a complaint about assaults in the classroom, many times they are blamed for the incidents themselves. RAP members feel unsupported, discouraged, and afraid of retaliation by administration and others. We hear paraprofessionals are important to education, to the education of our students. You do not show it, we do actions. We do not see it, we do not feel it. Respect us. We are educators that are committed to the students and the safety of the students. We do care. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Angie. We appreciate your comments tonight. I'm going to call once more for Myrna Gonzalez or Jacqueline Colon, who also signed up to speak. No, no, there is no speaking after, no signing up to speak until after noon on the day of the meeting, so I'm going to have to move on. President Elliott, the mic is back to you. Thank you, sir. President Elliott.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Student Advisory Council report. Do we have one?
No
Anaya?
student advisory report has been submitted tonight, but we do have our Parent Advisory Council and Bilingual Education on is here.
But before we get to that, I just wanted to, I don't know if Anaya may be watching or not, but just wanted to shout out to her for being, is the athlete of the week that she was. And so I just want to shout out to her for doing that. I didn't know she was a scholar athlete. So congratulations, Anaya. We really do support you, and you know, that's wonderful. Thank you so very much. And so the next item on the agenda under Advisory Council reports is for the Parent Leadership Advisory Council. Is Rebecca here? Or whoever's going to, who's?
We do have April, the president of PLAC, is here
All
on
right.
Zoom.
Good evening, April. Welcome.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. I'll go ahead and get started. PLAC's leadership team meeting this month was on April 5th with Dr. Jello. Having a partner like Dr. Jello in the ongoing push for parent voice in the district is incredibly valuable and inspiring, and we'd like to thank her for taking the time to meet with us. Dr. Jello spoke to 10 questions I wish you'd asked me that she used as a teacher and pushed us to remember that parent presence is so important in every way and in all ways. The next leadership team meeting is this coming Monday via Zoom at 6 p.m. This will be a meeting full of chiefs, as so many new ones have come into the district recently, and we are looking forward to that conversation. If you're a parent of a child in the district and would like to join the PLAC leadership team, please email us at plac@rcsdk12.org. The executive school-based planning team met on April 6th with representatives from just one union and many from parent group leadership. We would like to request continued Spanish interpretation services for every meeting so that our BEC partners can participate actively. As parent representation to the executive team, we have requested the names of the parents at the school level SBPTs so that we can properly share to them and they to us. The information that has been provided is not up to date, and we have only been able to verify 7 schools that have 3 or more active parents on school-based planning teams, while the report shows 95% compliance. This is a multi-generational problem, and the work is ongoing. The system for verifying parent representation on these teams is broken, and we ask for a fix to this to be discussed at the next executive school-based planning team meeting on May 4th. Policy 1900 has been returned from legal, and we are reviewing their notes. The month of May will be a very busy month for PLAC, so the plan is to meet with the legal department before the end of the month, and we will share that date as soon as it is confirmed. Yesterday evening on April 27th, we had an in-person parent meetup to work on Staff Appreciation Week, which is this coming week, May 2nd through May 6th. We will meet again at Central Office next Wednesday, May 4th at 5:30 p.m. to continue this work together, and you and your scholars are welcome. On May 18th, we will be hosting our first ever in-person general membership meeting. After polling parents, East High School was ranked as the first choice, and we're going through the process of finalizing the location. If you are a parent in the Rochester City School District, you are automatically qualified to be a Black parent and invited to this event. There will be bounce houses for the kids, food, information, and activities from both the city and the district, as well as customized t-shirts to mark the occasion. So plan to bring the family. Safety continues to be a major concern in our school buildings for our students. Based on incidents that have been seen and heard by parents across the district, a mandatory professional development on the new code of conduct must be implemented for every employee of the Rochester City School District. Clear pathways are defined for exclusionary practices and suspensions, short or long term. And we should all know the rules, processes, and procedures. Making this professional development available to parents and students is important so that they know their rights. But if district employees are not aware, it would do no good. To speak very briefly to the budget, the book in its current form is unacceptable and impossible to understand. This is a document meant to communicate our priorities in a clear and easily accessible way. Based on Tuesday's budget deliberations, we know that you all know that. At this time, we are requesting a timeline on how this will be corrected for this year's budget. Do not bring a vote to the floor on a budget that you do not understand. Please do not vote until it is clear what you are voting on. Community building, equity, communication, accountability. Our ask continues to be simple. Talk to parents, call parents, have an unpredictable conversation with someone who might be the person to tell you about the one thing you haven't thought of, or what was absolutely needed to be inspired and refill your cup. You need to listen to what we have to say, or the problems you highlight in this meeting tonight will never begin to be resolved in a meaningful way. And just an FYI, as president of the Parent Leadership Advisory Council, I will be operating in a limited capacity for the next few months as I undergo chemotherapy for breast cancer. So if you see my face a little less often, it's only as I'm trying to recover. Thank you for the time and the space to share, and please forward all questions, comments, or concerns to our email.
Thank you, Ms. Harrison, and our prayers are with you. God be with you. He is a healer, so.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. The next advisory report is the Bilingual Education Council report.
And the bilingual report will be translated in person, but they are joining us on Zoom.
Welcome those who are on Zoom.
Buenas tardes.
Good evening.
Ok, comienzo.
Sí, puede seguir.
Ok. Buenas noches, soy Diver García, vicepresidenta del Concilio de Educación Bilingüe. Estoy aquí con el resto de los oficiales del BC.
Good evening. I am Divet Garcia, and I'm the Vice President of the Bilingual Education Council, and I'm here with the rest of the BEC officers.
El Concilio de Educación Bilingüe está formado por padres bilingües, organizaciones comunitarias y educadores que representan y defienden los derechos educativos a una educación bilingüe de calidad para nuestros estudiantes en el distrito.
The Bilingual Education Council is made up of bilingual parents, community-based organizations, and educators representing and advocating for the educational rights to a quality bilingual education for our students.
Los siguientes son elementos que continúan pendientes.
The following are some items that continue to be outstanding.
El Departamento Bilingüe ha asegurado un estudiante aprendiz del idioma inglés de cada escuela secundaria que alberga el programa de educación bilingüe.
The bilingual department has secured our, one English language learner from each High School, which houses the bilingual education program.
No hemos oído hablar de los próximos pasos para la contratación y reincorporación del director ejecutivo,
We have not heard about next steps for the hiring and reinstatement of the executive director of.
Nuevamente solicitamos que la Oficina de Participación de los Padres que coordine una capacitación de padres comprometidos para todos los padres representantes del VC.
We are requesting again that the Office of Parent Engagement coordinate Padres Comprometidos training for BEC parents representatives.
Estamos solicitando que David Brown, director de Servicios de Alimentos Escolares, presente en nuestra próxima reunión del concilio y escuche sobre algunas preocupaciones expresadas por los padres. Nos gustaría que presentara los fondos disponibles por estudiantes, los contratos de alimentos actuales y cómo planean abordar la preocupación de los padres y estudiantes.
We are requesting that Mr. David Brown, Director of School Food and Services, be at our next council meeting to speak about some ongoing concerns and issues expressed by our parents. We would like him to present and talk about the funding available per student, current food contracts, and how they plan to address the parents' concerns.
La reunión del VC de abril se llevó a cabo en persona en el 817 East Main Street con la disponibilidad a través de Zoom. La presentación de prácticas restaurativas del distrito por Angélica Matías fue cancelada debido a una enfermedad y será reprogramada para más adelante.
The April BEC meeting was held in person at 817 East Main Street with availability via Zoom. The Rcsd Restorative Practices presentation by Angelica Matias was canceled due to an illness and will be rescheduled for a later time.
Leonel Cruz facilitó una presentación sobre eStation que incluyó los objetivos del software educativo y cómo los padres pueden acceder al sistema.
Leonor Cruz gave a presentation on iStation, which included goals, that educational software, and how parents can access the system.
Los padres se sintieron alentados por la herramienta, pero les gustaría que el distrito promoviera e involucrara a los padres en el acceso al sistema de manera más significativa.
Parents were encouraged by the tool, but would like the district to promote and engage parents in accessing the system more meaningfully.
Los padres expresaron nuevamente sus preocupaciones sobre la cantidad de pruebas y les gustaría obtener más información sobre las evaluaciones.
Parents again expressed their concerns over the amount of testing that is going on and would like to learn more about the assessments.
Otros presentadores incluyeron a Amanda Meyer de la Oficina del Fiscal General. Los temas discutidos con la Oficina del Fiscal General incluyeron suspensiones escolares, intimidación, tensiones raciales entre estudiantes y en ocasiones falta de intervención por parte de maestros y administradores.
Other presenters included Amanda Mayer from the Attorney General Office. Items discussed with the AG office included school suspensions, bullying, racial tensions between students, and at times the lack of intervention by teachers and administrators.
Los padres estaban completamente comprometidos e hicieron preguntas a los presentadores.
Parents were fully engaged and asked questions of the presenters.
Los oficiales del VC continúan involucrados en la iniciativa Un llamado a la acción. Alentaron a los representantes a participar.
BEC officers continue to be involved in the Call to Action initiative and encouraged other representatives to participate.
Facilité una presentación el 8 de abril sobre la violencia en las escuelas en colaboración con esta iniciativa. Nos preocupa mucho la multitud de incidentes relacionados con el acoso y la violencia tanto en la escuela como en las redes sociales.
I shared a presentation on April 8th regarding school and violence in partnership with this initiative. We have great concerns over the multitude of incidents involving bullying and violence, both in school and in social media.
El bullying en las redes sociales es el principal desencadenante de los episodios de violencia escolar.
Bullying in social media is the main trigger for school violence.
Los padres también siguen expresando su preocupación por la transportación y la distancia entre las paradas de autobús en las áreas de alta incidencia criminal.
Parents continue to express their concerns with transportation and the distance between bus stops in high crime areas.
Los padres están ansiosos porque sus hijos caminan demasiado hacia las paradas de autobús.
Parents are anxious about their children having to walk too far to the bus stop.
Además, los padres informaron que el distrito o las escuelas no compartieron información sobre las becas con los padres o el concilio de estudiantes ILL que se gradúan.
In addition, parents reported that no information on scholarship was shared by the district or schools with parents or the council for their graduating ELLs.
El concilio continúa participando en todas las reuniones de planificación escolar y se ha asociado activamente con The Children's Agenda para apoyar todas las iniciativas de la salud mental.
The council continues to participate in all school-based planning meetings and has actively partnered with the Children's Agenda to support all child mental health initiatives.
El concilio también apoya a todas las recomendaciones presupuestarias hechas por The Children's Agenda y exige transparencia.
The council also supports all budget recommendations made by the Children's Agenda and demands transparency.
La Junta expresa nuevamente su apoyo a la comisionada Beatriz Lebrón.
The council again expresses their full support of Commissioner Beatriz Lebrun.
También nos gustaría expresar nuestra profunda decepción y continua frustración con la comisionada Willa Powell y sus continuos intentos de silenciar a uno de los más fuertes defensores de la educación para la comunidad latina y la comunidad en general.
We would like to also express our deep disappointment and continued frustration with Commissioner Willa Powell and her continued attempts to silence one of the strongest educational advocates for the Latino community and community at large.
La falta de presencia y compromiso de la comisionada Powell con la comunidad latina dice mucho de su falta de comprensión de la importancia de la defensa de la comisionada Lebrón.
Commissioner Powell's lack of presence and engagement with the Latino community speaks volumes to the lack of understanding of the importance of Commissioner Lebrun's advocacy.
Nuestra próxima reunión se llevará a cabo en persona en la sala de reuniones del Jackson Trenton Rec Center y celebraremos el Día de las Madres.
Our next meeting will be held in person at the large meeting room at the Jackson Trenton Art Center, and we will hold a Mother's Day celebration.
Para nuestra próxima reunión solicitamos una actualización sobre la ubicación de los ILL, ya que muchos padres han expresado su preocupación.
For our next meeting, we're requesting an update on placement of ELLs, as many parents have expressed concerns.
También estamos solicitando que un representante de BOCES 1 asista y brinde una actualización sobre el desplazamiento de 75 niños con necesidades especiales debido a su cierre.
We're also requesting that a representative from BOCES 1 attend and provide an update on the displacement of 75 students with special needs that were displaced because of closure.
En el próximo mes, el VC presentará los estatutos finales en la reunión de mayo, según lo exigen los estatutos, y para ser documentados y aceptados en las actas de la reunión del Board of Education.
Next month, the BEC will present the final bylaws at the May meeting as requested by the bylaws and to document and accepted in the Board of Education meetings minutes.
Con esto concluye nuestro informe de actividades. Muchas gracias y buenas noches.
This concludes our activity report. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm interested in attending next month's meeting, so I'll arrange that to be at that meeting. If we have no deliberations or any other meetings, I'm certain I'm going to attend. So thank you. See you all
Thank
in
you.
person.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good night.
you. All right, so the next item on the agenda is board reports. There's no report for the CIGR committee. Commissioner Simmons, ESA, Equity and Student Achievement Committee.
I will read for Commissioner Simmons. She's having a little bit of vocal issues tonight, so I will read on her behalf.
Sure.
So the Equity and Student Achievement Committee met as a whole on Tuesday, April 12th, and during that meeting, one speaker from the community spoke on the topic of the school calendar. The board reviewed and accepted minutes and considered several human capital resolutions related to the appointment of individuals and suspension appeals. And the board approved the 22-23 school calendar. Deputy Superintendent Dr. Kathleen Black provided the April teaching and learning update that was submitted to the record. We heard from the Director of Bilingual Education, Annalie Cruz-Fomani, who provided a presentation on the Department of Multilingual Education that was also submitted to the record. Executive Director of Equity, Inclusion, and Social Emotional Learning Support, Elizabeth Reyes, provided a presentation on the Department of Student Support Services, and Director Reyes will come back for a future meeting to address any questions the board may have regarding the department. The board approved the updated key dates for the 22-23 budget review process during that meeting as well. And the next ESA committee meeting meets on Tuesday, May 17th at 5:30 p.m. That concludes the ESA board report.
Thank you for that report. The next committee report is Finance, Vice President LeBron.
Thank you. The Finance Committee did not convene this month in order to facilitate the 22-23 budget deliberations process. However, the committee continues to participate in monthly previews meetings in order to review the district's financials, upcoming resolutions with fiscal impact, as well as any additional reports as needed. This month, the previews meeting took place on Monday, April 25th, and at this time, I invite the Administrative Substitute in Finance, Vernon Connors, to present the March 2022 financial report. Is he coming up?
Mr. Connors?
You're up.
You haven't done this in a while, so you forgot of.
I'm bringing it up. I don't have a physical copy with me, though, no.
Okay, I'll actually move on, and then
Okay.
we'll come back to that, Vern. So
We'll come back to him.
we'll come back to this. So I'm not going to ask for a vote to approve it until he is able to present the information and you are all able to ask questions. So I'll move on. So please note that the following reminders related to the 22-23 budget season. The deadline for commissioners to submit round 3 questions in the log is due tomorrow, April 29th, by the end of the business day. The second budget deliberation session will take place on next Thursday, May 5th at 5:30 p.m. And the budget book sections to be covered in this session are as followed. It's going to be the school management, school profiles and budgets, including the East EPO, the summary of school budget allocations, school programs, school supports, ARP and CRESA, which again are the federal CARE Act dollars and the state CARE Act dollars, and that's what the acronyms represent. CIP, which is the capital improvement projects, and topic was reassigned from the first deliberation session to give us all a little bit more time. But it also makes sense because the capital improvement projects are also talking about which schools are going to get some renovations under CIP. The public is encouraged to follow along with this and all the budget events and can access videos, presentations, and budget documents by visiting www.rcsdk12.org /budget, BUDGET. And you can see this year's budget deliberations and materials there, but also previous years as well. The next in-person Finance Committee meeting is not until June 21st, 2022. And since we're still waiting for Vern, I do want to take a quick moment of personal privilege very briefly. And I just want to say that I know there's a lot going on always in this district, but last night I did receive a message from a parent named Rosa around her services and her experience with a teacher, and her son's name is Josue Bowler. And she had so many positive, wonderful things to say, and she just felt very strongly that she wanted Miss Rachel Dake from school number 33 to be acknowledged tonight at the board meeting, and also figure out ways as she can honor her for all of the work that she has been doing with her son and her family and supporting them and going above and beyond. She mentioned that Yosoi is her third child in the district, and that she's never had the positive experience that she's had this year with this individual teacher. So I just want to thank Ms. Rachel Dake on behalf of the board and on behalf of Yosoi and Rosa, and tell you thank you for going above and beyond for them, and they truly appreciate and treasure you and the work that you're doing with them. So, and just shout out to any parents who reach out. I definitely felt like it was important to uplift this individual teacher and all of the work that she's doing to support this individual student. So with that, Vern is back, and I'm going to turn it over to Vern. So perfect timing.
I apologize, commissioners. I'm not up to date on protocols. I have to get caught up.
I'll follow along with you, okay?
Okay. So we'll start with the summary report, and from there we'll be moving into the detail and coming back. Okay, the first item in the report is a report on the cash balance. If you want to show the detail. So basically, for the month of March, the district's cash balance did improve. We began the month with a balance of, eyes aren't what they used to be either, 162 million, just over 162 million. We had total receipts of 191 million, disbursements of 68 million, and ended with a cash balance at March 31 of $285,484,000. So that is our all funds balance, and then the next report shows a year-to-year comparison of that. And as mentioned, this year we're at 285.4 million. Last year we were at 298.6 million. But it's important to point out that last year, 85 million of that was a revenue anticipation note. So while it would appear with a year-to-year comparison, Even though the amount's lower this year, we're in a better cash position because we did not have to take a revenue anticipation note loan this year. And on the next page, there's just a graphical presentation of that. And looking at it, you can see the peaks and valleys of the funding. And typically, our low months for funding happen to be December through March, through February, and then March we start to get a lot of aid in. Also this month, we got a lot of grant funding in through CRISA and ARP. And typically, we'll be in a strong cash position, and we'll have in the summer months, it's a little low, and then we start picking up again in the fall. Okay, the next item would be the revenue summary on page 7 of the package. As of March the 31st, our estimate for general fund revenues for the year is $834.3 million. We're experiencing increased state aid for students in alternative settings and homeless students. That's what's driving the increased revenue projection. From a special aid standpoint, it's increased by $2.58 million. Due to ARP grants for special ed and Refugee and Immigrant Student Welcome Project grant were the two largest components of the increased projection. The school food service revenue estimate decreased to $21.4 million due to lower projected federal reimbursement. And that's driven by the number of meals served, and so that number is down a bit. So if we look at our projections of all funds, our budgeted revenue for the year was $986.1 million. Our projected revenue is $1.28 million. That's a variance or an increase of $296 million. Of that, $304 million is increased revenues projected for the ARP and CRSA funding that came online this year. The general fund revenue variance from the projection is just under $6 million less than the budget. But we want to point out that the budget included the use of $30 million in fund balance. So again, even though the report's showing a negative, we're trending positively in general fund revenue this year. In school fund services, we're projecting a negative, almost negative $3 million revenue variance from the original budget of $23.9 million. On the expenditure side, general fund budgeted appropriations were $840 million. And if we take out current encumbrances and expenditures, we have available appropriations of $244 million in the general fund as of the end of March. But I do want to point out we have a large amount of debt service payments coming up that would reduce that number. So while it sounds like there's a lot of a higher than expected number there, that number will come down significantly when we make the May debt service payments. And the special aid, which is all we refer to as the grants fund, the budget appropriations are now $426 million. Less encumbrances and expenditures, we have available appropriations of $296 million. Again, I want to point out that, as we mentioned, the large increase was due to CRSA and ARP coming online, and those are monies that we'll be using over a period of a few years. And finally, if we look at the school food service fund, the budget appropriation of $23.9 million, less encumbrance and expenditures, leaves available appropriations of 7.4 million. But again, we have to look back to the revenues, which are, we have to take out another 2.5 million from that figure to adjust for lower than expected revenues. And that would leave us approximately $5 million in unappropriated and available appropriations for the food lunch program, school lunch program for the remainder of the year. There are a number of budget journal entries that were shared with the committee. Actually 19 pages of them, so it's quite a volume of them. And we briefly reviewed them. I think there are some resolutions tonight, some rather large ones, particularly around reallocating money within the transportation budget. But keep in mind, even though they're large numbers, we're simply moving numbers between the accounts in transportation to align them with projected expenditures. And it will be a net zero entry for the budget. Moving on to the capital projects status reports. Our cash capital, current project budgets are 81.3 million, less expenditures and encumbrances, leave us with a balance of 16.3 million. And we need to point out that there were a large number of expenditures as we start paying out for all the projects we've been working on. In the bonded portion of our capital fund, our project budgets are 103.9 million, or just under 104 million. Less encumbrance and expenditures leave 15 million. There were also some significant changes in the capital project budget. And what these represent largely were putting online the requisitions for all of the cash capital projects to be worked for coming up this summer and into next year, which was what drove down the cash capital number in a significant situation in a manner. And this is common that we do this every year at this time.
Baron, we do have to get to the next report, so I'm going to ask you to pause for a second, see if any of the commissioners have questions on this report.
Okay.
Any questions? Any questions? Okay. So if there are no questions, I think we're all set right now.
Okay.
Nobody has any questions on the third quarter either? Okay. So thank you. I don't have any questions at this time either. I'm gonna finish the finance report because we have to take a vote on it now. And just as a reminder to the community that you are presenting here because we as a finance committee do not meet every month as committee of the whole in an effort to save a little bit of time, but we are still bounded and required to have financial updates and reports. And so we've added them to the board business meeting, but next month we will meet as a traditional finance committee of the whole, and it'll look a little bit different, but we will work with you by the time next month comes so that you're aware of what that process looks like.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah, and thank you very much. I know it's your first one since you've been back, so, and there's been many changes. So at this time, can we take a vote to approve the district's unaudited March 2022 financial report? May I have a motion and to accept in a second?
Motion.
Second.
Commissioner Patterson, and I'll take Commissioner Adams as the motion in a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And then can I have a motion for the 2021-22 third quarter change order report?
So
I forgot
moved.
to mention it.
Motion.
So moved by Commissioner Malloy, seconded by Commissioner Patterson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Both motions pass 7-0.
Thank you. And with that, I'm done. Thank you, President Elliott.
Thank you, Vice President. And so there's no governance report committee, but Commissioner Malloy would like to give a shout out, so I'm going to let her do that at this time.
Thank you. I wanted to take a brief point of personal privilege here. My daughter, Chloe Malloy, will be graduating this year. This is my first of 4 children graduating from the school district. And I'm a really proud mom at this moment because she has just committed to university. She'll be going to SUNY Stony Brook, and I'm just so proud of her efforts and all of the teachers who helped get her there. She was one of fewer than 100 students who were accepted to their honors college. And so, Chloe, I'm really proud of you. Congratulations for your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Malloy. Do good work for us, make us proud, and come back to East, East to teach, maybe? Come back to teach, but we're very proud of you.
You said it.
And so, Commissioner Powell with the Policy Committee report.
Yeah, thank you. First, I want to apologize for not being there in person. I was COVID negative this morning. I am COVID positive now. And so, unfortunately, and heartbreakingly, so is my son, who was supposed to be performing in the School of the Arts production of SpongeBob this weekend. I don't think that's going to happen. Really heartbreaking. But with regard to Policy Committee, we do have a written report. It's on board docs. I don't need to repeat it. We have policies in the pipeline that we will be discussing today, some ready for vote, others in the reading stages. And our next Policy Committee meeting of the whole is, I believe, this coming Tuesday. Did I get that right?
That is correct. It will be next week, Tuesday, and we'll go right after the audit committee.
And I think I might still be in isolation at that point, so I may have to Zoom in myself. So we'll see what happens. That concludes my report. Thank you.
All right, thank you, and feel better, get better, your whole family. So, and so I think it's time for my report, and this is going to be a verbal report. This is actually the first report that I've given as president. I think that we've just been so busy at meetings and what have you. So I'll take this opportunity just to share a little bit. But first of all, I was visiting School 39 last month, and I failed to give them a shout out. So I want to do that now. I just want to thank Dr. Garfield and the teachers, Ms. Ashford, Ms. Simmons, and Ms. McKenzie for hosting me for that meeting. I was really impressed with the work that Dr. Garfield is doing over there. And it's one of those schools, Madam Superintendent, as I've mentioned this to you before, where it's in this neighborhood that you really just don't, it is just in one of these middle-class neighborhoods that you just sort of don't think about it. So I was so excited about having the opportunity to go over to visit Dr. Garfield. And Dr. Garfield has her own story about where she got to where she is. And so it is certainly impossible for our students to become PhDs and principals of schools. And so I just wanted to do that shout out for the teachers, but I also wanted to just to congratulate the Townsend Tiger Wildcats. That is the team who played in a basketball tournament. They were undefeated, 13-0. So I just want to give a shout out to that team over there. So congratulations. I should have done it last month, and forgive me for that, but I'm doing it now. So the names of them are Jaylene Strickland, Devin Dillon. Jaylene is a 6th grader. Devin is a 5th grader. Those are the leaders of the team, and I just wanted to give them an amazing shout out. You know, we hear so much in the news that's negative about the Rochester City School District. You know, I'm on the team now to want to give those shout outs to the positive things that we're doing in this district. And we certainly are doing some great things in this district. And so shout outs from me to our students and to our teachers and to our administration. I've had a number of visits, a couple other places I wanted to give a shout out to. School 25 that I visited, and we also, not only did I make a personal visit, but also as president, but also the leadership team met at Montessori School. So I just want to give a shout out for both of those schools for the great work that they are doing over there. And I happen to, my day job is right in the same facility, and so you know, I can get an opportunity to go over there to visit them. Whenever I get a chance, I could just walk on over. So shout out to that great work that's being done over there. I also want to mention that I'm not only do I have office hours that are going to be on Mondays, but I'm also going to do a little blog about, you know, some of my thoughts. I'm going to do that on a monthly basis, and I'm working on one now to be posted. And there'll be, some of these posts will also be in conjunction with some of the district staff around some of the things that we're doing within the district around learning, around processes, and just some concerns with you know, with parents and what have you. So look for those to come in the near future. I think I want to do one for next month. And I am working on one, so that is also going to be coming. We're also going to be doing some work sessions. One of the work sessions that we're going to be doing, scheduled for June 2nd, is FMP, that we want to get a better understanding of that process. The board now has more, this board has more of a responsibility in this district of that whole process, so that meeting is scheduled for June 2nd. We're going to be...
FMP is going to be in May 12th.
Excuse me.
And then the safety one is June 2nd.
Thank you, thank you. So May, what was that date again?
May 12th.
For the
FMP.
FMP, okay. And so for June 2nd, one of the things that have occurred a lot, we get this report about the violence that is going on in our schools. And we just came out of a meeting earlier today with regard to student suspension appeals. There's a lot of violence that seems to be going on in our schools with regard to Facebook and just these things that are coming off the street from the neighborhoods into the schools. Schools are meant for education, not for fighting. And not only that, what we're also experiencing is there are parents that are supporting this. And so we have to have a work session around how do we approach all of the fighting, including those parents who are helping to encourage that. That cannot happen. We do not want parents to be engaging in helping their children to fight. The parents should be peacemakers. And so we're going to have a work session around why that occurs. And not only that, but we have students who are actually afraid to go to school. And what does that do in terms of us wanting to increase our student enrollment? It will have a detrimental effect to our strategy to try to increase student enrollment. So we want to find out why that's going on, so that we're going to invite parents, we're going to invite teachers and others, some people from the city we want to invite just to give us a handle on what we need to do as a district to try to minimize and eliminate the kind of fighting and the kind of fighting that's going on with the adults. And so that is going to be scheduled for June 2nd, is that correct? That's going to be scheduled for June 2nd. And so look forward to having that conversation. And if there are people who are interested in participating in that, please reach out to our board office. You can also contact me personally. I do have those office hours, so feel free to come out and meet with me around that. And I do, Madam Superintendent, have someone that called me about a situation between students and parents, and I'll be giving you that information. So that is going to be happening June 2nd. And also, I wanted to just give let me do this. We have a number of employment opportunities. And so I would like to just make that announcement that if you're interested in working in the Rochester City School District, please, we've got teacher positions available, we have custodial positions available, we have paraprofessional positions available, we have the gamut of secretarial positions that are available, we have the gamut. So please fill out the application online. You can go on the Rochester City School District website and locate the employment section and to look at how do you apply to work in the Rochester City School District. If you have a heart for children, this is the place you should be. So I wanted to do that. And then lastly, I understand that next week is Teacher Education Week. Teacher Appreciation Week. So let me get an opportunity to share again my appreciation for our teachers. Now, doesn't take away from the fact that we do have some teachers that are ineffective that need to do better for our students. But I do want to appreciate those teachers who are doing the best that they can do. And I've gone into the classrooms and I've seen the work that our teachers are doing within our school buildings. But we do have some who are resistant. And I'm going to say to you, I won't use the terms that I used the last time, but I will say to you, get on board for the benefit of our children. We need you to get on board. Or perhaps this is not the right fit for you. And I've always said that. And so please help us to help our students so that they can go out and do great things within our community. And so we will push on you. We will hold you accountable. And if you can't handle that, here again, you may need to find another school district that is a better fit. But again, I like to say for those who are on our team, who are going beyond and above the call of duty, and I say all the time, this is difficult work. No doubt about it, is difficult work. For those teachers, I'm saying thank you so very much, and we do appreciate all that you do. So having said that, we will go into the superintendent's report. Dr. Myers-Small.
Thank you, President Elliott. Good evening to you, to Vice President LeBron, to our commissioners, to Dr. Nelms, and to our staff, both present as well as watching on YouTube and Facebook. I have a little bit of a lengthy superintendent's report. I'll work to get through this as quickly as I can because the bulk of my presentation involves providing an update relative to ARP and CRSA. And so I want to make sure that per our commitment to making sure that our board and our community understand where we are, what type of progress we're making, and how we're moving forward. So if you'll go to the next slide, again, just a reminder, the district has received relief funding in 3 streams, and that's CARES with round 2, CRSA, CARES round 1, CRSA round 2, and ARP round 3. The good news was that the district did receive formal approval for ARP at the beginning of January, and so spending has just begun. Tonight's update will provide a focus on activities funded under both CRSA and ARP that have taken place during the time frame of January 1st through March 31st, 2022. So as you are aware, we have 7 priorities as it relates to CRSA. Priority 1 is the rigorous academics and instruction. The district has a variety of projects underway and on pace to be completed, and you can see that those projects are demonstrated in green. Transforming Instruction has a $4.2 million contract which has been approved. This contract will provide support to our schools that are most academically struggling, and that's our CSI, comprehensive support, TSI, which is targeted support, as well as receivership schools through the implementation of DataWise. The school redesign and program diversification also has a contract with PBL Works, and this is a contract to provide project-based learning training as a part of our program diversification. High Quality Teaching and Learning for All initiative is actively expanding work-based learning opportunities and CTE, or Career and Technical Education programming. To date, students at 43 schools were able to have access to full-time special subject area teachers, and 19 schools will implement the Second Step Social Emotional Learning Program. Several items listed here are rated as red, not initiated, simply because they aren't scheduled to begin yet. For example, Improving Academic Programs Initiative is preparing for purchase of specialized athletic equipment, as well as art and music supplies. These purchases are set to occur in the summer of 2022. Additionally, the Building Freshman Academies Initiative had to be postponed due to the timing of ARP approval. The training for staff occurred prior to our ARP approval, and accordingly, staff will go in next year to the National Freshman Academy training. Many projects have been initiated in this priority under school-based supports. So many schools have purchased supplies and materials to support their projects in their schools, including classroom libraries, and additional classroom supplies. Priority 2 and 3, which is social emotional learning and leadership and instructional capacity. In social emotional learning support, we're actively supporting North Star and responding to the unique needs of students with disabilities. There are additionally school-based supports under this priority that contain several contracts which are in the development stage and are paced to be submitted for services from Kumba, Therapeutic Crisis Intervention Training, the Gandhi Institute of Nonviolence, Coordinated Care Services Incorporated, or CCSI, and the Center for Youth. Some schools have purchased various supplies to support the creation of school calming rooms. Leadership instructional capacity, or priority number 3, includes a notable initiative which is on pace to complete, which is increasing staff and educator effectiveness. To that end, a contract with the Council of Great City Schools, of which we're a member, is to provide a high-level organizational, operational, and management review of the operations and business side of our district. Shown here in red are the following initiatives, which are slated to begin shortly. The Teach Rochester program, which is a grow your own program to encourage our Rochester City School District students to become educators. This program, it will begin in the 22-23 school year. Staff affinity groups, where we aim to recruit and retain, and we're having more of a focus on the retention aspect of high quality, diverse staff, which is a board goal. And so the Office of Human Capital will begin these affinity groups during the 22-23 school year. And then the Developing Youth Leadership, we're currently working on recruitment of students to participate in Student Leadership Congress. Priorities 4, 5, and 6, which are unfinished learning and community collaboration, as well as district-wide infrastructure. So under unfinished learning, we're working on expanded learning summer programming initiative, as well as partnering with organizations for the recruitment of staff to support summer school programming. At the school level, our school leaders have created teams to review key data about students in order to uniquely align the types of academic and social and emotional support needed. Priority 5 has work in progress to complete in regard to the participatory budgeting initiative. We have a contract which is in progress, and this vendor will provide the training for participatory budgeting. Shown here in red, which again means the project has not been initiated, is the partnering with communities and parent engagement, which are both actively exploring vendors to contract with. Schools are currently working on implementing several attendance initiatives, and I know this was something that Commissioner Adams brought up, academic progress award ceremonies, and student incentives to support overall collegiate experience and promote student engagement and achievement. District-wide infrastructure, or priority 6, is home to the Oracle Enterprise Resource Planning upgrade. A recent accomplishment of note is the development and training of change agent network of staff members to communicate information regarding the Oracle project within our district. Additionally, the Office of Grants and Program Accountability has identified a vendor to conduct a program evaluation of stimulus-funded programs and initiatives, and this contract has been submitted and anticipated to begin on July 1st, 2022. The last priority, 7, deals with safe and healthy reopening of schools, and this is obviously related to COVID response. We continue to fill vacancies for per diem building substitute teachers and COVID paraprofessionals so schools can have access to one of each as an additional support to address COVID-related needs. As far as just other CRSA highlights, we wanted to speak to some highlights relative to the funding so far. Monies used for this quarter to provide COVID relief to schools, again to manage business processes, namely the Oracle replacement, and we'll continue to move forward for the remainder of the school year. Additionally, I mentioned building substitutes, and special staffing will continue next year in order to increase student access in the areas of arts, music, family and consumer science, say that 5 times fast, and technology. ARP highlights, as stated, access to ARP and subsequent spend down just began in Q3. Teams are in the process of conducting RFPs, or requests for proposals, for contracts to support the work, and have begun other business processes in order to access the funds. Several large-scale activity are listed here. We have proposed a robust summer program, and I'll talk about that in a little more detail in just a moment, which really addresses specific student needs from recovery and intervention through enrichment and acceleration. We also are extremely excited about the allocation of funds directly to schools to be used to support unique efforts, including participatory budgeting. Our overall fiscal progress, Rochester City School District has and will continue to submit reimbursement requests to the New York State Education Department. Again, just to remind our listening audience, we have to submit our receipts, and then we are reimbursed by the department on a monthly basis. These requests have been prepared for all expenditures through April 2022. To date, the reimbursement payments have been made in the amount of a little over $9 million for CRSA and $700,000 for ARP. They've been processed by the department's grants finance office, and they are reflected in the CAFE portal. Here you see the summary of the overall fiscal progress that has been made with the relief funds. If you read from left to right, you can see that the entire relief fund allocation, including both CRSA and ARP, is approximately $284.4 million. To date, there is currently $247.9 million available. The next slide speaks to CRSA FTE's priority, and this is on the next 2 slides. It shows summary of FTEs that were slated to be funded for Q3 of this school year. Of the 201 positions currently funded through the CRSA grant, 108 positions have been filled, 19.6 are in progress, and 73.4 are unfilled. In the last quarter of the district, we have increased the number of FTEs hired by 26.4. On the next slide, we have the ARP FTE summary of the 99.3 positions currently funded. 4.9 have been hired, 47.9 are in progress, 46.5 are unfilled. ARP, remember, was only approved by the state at the beginning of January, and so that's why you note that a substantial number of funded positions are still in progress as we work through the hiring process. The final update in ARP and CURSA is the stakeholder and engagement. And so we just want to remind you of all the relief funding resources available to you as commissioners as well as to the public. The Q3 narrative report, the interactive district dashboard, and the public feedback form are all available on the district's Relief Fund website, which is listed. The first Relief Fund Committee of Stakeholders meeting will convene in May, and a template for principals to use for quarterly reporting of relief fund status to their school communities has been developed and shared with principals. That concludes ARP and CURSA. If we move on, I just want to, if you go to the next slide, just a quick update on elementary, middle, and high school summer opportunities. We are excited to share. We have 35 programs in total, and this work has happened through the Department of Teaching and Learning. So just a high school note. One of the examples of an offering this summer is the Smart Athletes program that originated out of Monroe Upper. SMART stands for Sports, Majors, Athletics, Regents, and Track. This is a course that makes sure students are on track to have the classes they need to be compliant with NCAA eligibility requirements. There will also be opportunities for our scholars to find jobs this summer. We will be hiring, and I know you asked me about this yesterday, President Elliott, we'll be hiring approximately 50 youth to work in some of our summer programs. As far as middle school, our Rock Summer STEAM program is new this year. Scholars will engage in high-quality, hands-on instruction with a focus on math and science, and our scholars can enroll in this program through their home schools. Teachers are also being supported through a grant from General Motors. Elementary notes, Rock Summer Arts. I'm so excited about this. It's a full-day program that supports music and art, where we have academics occurring in the morning and then enrichment opportunities in the afternoon that include dance, art, and music. I know that some of our board commissioners had questions about transportation during Dr. Black's presentation early this month. We have, again, a total of 35 programs where we will provide transportation either via RTS or our yellow buses. We will know more specifics about transportation when we have the actual enrollment numbers. With respect to transportation specifically to St. John Fisher College, we are contracting with RTS for specific runs to Fisher. Again, in terms of enrollment, we have a dynamic website dedicated to our Summer of Discovery, where it tells you how to enroll your child in one of these programs. It's important to know that some enrollment can be done at the school level, and each school has a number of seats that they can offer to students. During spring break, we had our Rcsd Takeover events, which was very successful during spring break at the Rochester Museum and Science Center. This was an opportunity for students to attend various programs throughout the city of Rochester and Monroe County. There will be a takeover event Memorial Day weekend with the Rochester Red Wings, where students will be able to attend a game. And later this summer, students will be able to visit the Strong Museum of Play. For the 4th year in a row, the National Association of Music Merchants Foundation has honored the Rochester City School District for its outstanding commitment to music education. Our program has been recognized for how it adapted, innovated, and persevered in the face of change during the pandemic. I am extremely proud of the dedication shown by our music teachers and the music department. 2 of our Rochester City School District educators presented at a statewide bilingual education conference, Jessica and Anna. They were selected to participate in the New York State Association for Bilingual Education's 44th conference. This conference was held virtually. Jessica is a bilingual teacher at School 28, and Anna is a bilingual mentor who currently serves in the Career in Teaching program. They both presented on the Rcsd's K-5 biliteracy modules for language arts. The final slide recognizes Ms. Carletha Bell, who's a 6th grade teacher at School 42. She was the recipient of a Golden Apple Award from News Channel 8. She has been teaching in the district since 1996 and was nominated by her students for this award. Ms. Bell was once a student herself at School 42, and she's been described by her students as respectful, helpful, hardworking, and never gives up on her scholars. It's wonderful to see our teachers returning to the schools where they were themselves once a student. And even though it's not listed on the slide, today I had 2 wonderful interactions with scholars. This morning I started at Wilson High School, where I interacted with 2 students, one from Wilson, one from Rochester Early College. May 1st is decision day, and these 2 young ladies revealed where they are matriculating for college. And so they participated in my superintendent video. It was just nice to interact with them, and it was really a pleasant way to start my day. The second interaction was that I was visited by 5 young men who participate in the My Brother's Keeper program. Today and tomorrow is a virtual conference hosted by the New York State Education Department, and they have multiple speakers. And the young men came down and introduced themselves to me and just had conversations about their hopes and dreams. One is a senior and still is trying to decide what his next steps are, but they were very pleasant. I had an opportunity to meet their mentors, and that really is a great program in our district, which promotes and supports our young men of color in the district. So with that, President Elliott, that completes my, I know, a little bit extended superintendent's report, but it was important to make sure you had an extensive update on ARP and CURSA.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Are there any questions for the superintendent, Vice President LeBron?
I just wanted to ask just for clarification on what the meaning of in process meant at this time for the hiring, and also if there was any overlap in terms of the time frame, because I know both CRESA and ARP have different timelines and time frames of when individuals are hired. But what does in process mean? I guess, you know, how are the positions being advertised, recruited? In process could mean that we started advertising, we've taken out some ads, or that there are actual applicants who have had background checks and are coming down the pipeline and we're just waiting. So if I can get some clarity around those things.
Sure, I'm going to have Dr.
In
Chris.
process would include everything you just listed, essentially. It's in any stage of selection, and it could be that some are on the docket to be appointed tonight. They just need your vote. Some could just be in the interview and selection process, various stages of any of those things you mentioned.
Okay, can I just ask then, like in the future when we get an update, that that's then broken down so that it doesn't look like 47.9% is in process, but maybe only 5% are actually potentially about to be on a resolution versus we're advertising or still interviewing, and you know there is a process of like an interview committee and so forth. So just breaking that down so that we kind of know where folks are at, and also that timeline for them too.
Sure.
Thank you. That's all.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Vice President. Commissioner Malloy?
Thank you. I'm not sure which slide. It looks like slide 14, actually. The summer opportunity programs. I'm just wondering how many of our students are expected to benefit from this, or what will the total enrollment be in each of those programs? And secondly, how will we, if we have tons of kids who are interested, how will we ensure that, you know, it's equitable and how the access?
Sure, thank you for that, Commissioner Malloy. I'm going to ask Dr. Black if she would respond. Again, just to reiterate the question around the numbers of students that we expect to serve in those 35 summer school programs, and then the follow-up is how do we ensure that we make, how do we ensure equity?
Good evening, everyone. So the seats that we've allocated for allowed across the 35 programs is total about 7,000. seats that we have, which is very much an increase from last year, and we are cognizant of the attendance challenges that we faced last year and are trying different recruitment strategies to attend to those. The second question in terms of ensuring equity is that we are allotting a specific number of seats by school to programs, and then if those seats don't fill by a specific timeline, then we open them up to places where they can be filled.
Thank you so much.
Commissioner Simmons?
Yeah, just another question along the lines of the summer programming. With that number of students, hopefully we do get a great turnout. Wondering if there's any, what the safety plans are for students, looking at trends that are taking place currently.
And so because many of our programs are housed in our buildings, the safety plans that attend to the schools would attend to our summer programming. So our mechanisms around our support staff and our screening mechanisms will still be in place. And then then the staff members who are charged to lead those programs will also, during their in-service time prior to beginning, then establish the additional rules, responsibilities, and protocols that are needed to receive our students.
Any other questions, Commissioner Simmons? All right. Let me go to the Zoom. Commissioner Powell, do you have any questions of the superintendent?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Adams? Dr. Jallo? Who's the other person on the screen who I don't know?
Our Chief Academic Officer.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. Hi, Shaney?
Shaney.
Hi, Shaney, how you doing? I'm sorry, I don't know you yet.
That's okay, you'll see me live soon.
Sure. Commissioner Patterson?
No questions.
All right. The only question that I have is in reference to making sure that these programs are well attended, and to also make sure that they are in line with what we're trying to accomplish in the state monitor's report. Do they line up with what the state monitor is recommending? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
President Elliott, do you just mind if I add one more thing? I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge girls flag football. That was inaugural yesterday, and it was cold and windy, but those girls were so resilient. I was able to cheer on the sidelines with AP Bernadette, and they have some skills. They really did a nice job, and it was just exciting to see that support, and we had some folks out there braving the elements, but it was just really nice. And then I ended my day with President Elliott. We did participate and represent the district at Monroe County School Boards Association Executive Committee, and that is where presidents of boards of education and superintendents come together to discuss countywide business.
And we have to make sure you're invited the next time, Dr. Nels. We're sorry about that. We didn't think about you.
Thank you.
And I just want to also, I saw some of those pictures of those girls playing. They are fierce.
They are fierce.
No, they are
and
fierce.
They said, don't let them fool you.
Yeah, man.
It's a contact sport.
Yeah, they were, man. So I didn't know we had women who would want to play.
Yeah.
Dr. Nels?
Yes. Good evening,
Good evening.
board and community. I will have a few slides as we enter next week's Teacher Appreciation Week. Just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge some of the incredible work of our teachers at East and throughout. And the first slide is a good indication of what happens when we put students in a successful system like Rcsd. Just this young man here, he is graduating this year, and it has taken him 6 years to finish his degree. And we're so proud of him. We often talk about those four-year graduates, but we omit the students who are persistent and tenacious and stick to it. This young man was featured in an article quite some time ago, and when he was a student at School 9 with teacher Bernice Green. You guys, I think most of you know Mr. Green, and Principal Jackson. And there was a story about his upbringing, and there were some obstacles he faced. And so to see this young man come full circle from an article from years ago that was really descriptive about his family, I'm not going to share that because he's moved on from that. But to see him walk the stage and to see him walk the halls of East, for as long as I've been there, and from this little short, squirrely kid to, now the senior who was telling the freshman to behave. And one day I said, that was you a couple years ago, you know, but it's incredible just to see his life evolve and what's to come for him. And so to those teachers and staff members and administrators at School 9 who embraced him as a youth, he and his family and his aunt, and to the teachers at East and all the folks who along the way, bus drivers, custodians, whomever, who poured into Mr. Smith, thank you. And I want to say to him publicly, you know, great job for sticking to this, even through COVID and all the obstacles that he faced that could have deterred him. So great job, Jacquez. Our teachers, you know, as Dr. Small said, you know, getting into classrooms is the highlight of the day. And our science department at lower school grades 6 through 8 have been doing these incredible inquiry-based lessons. And there's a few examples there what happens at each of those grade levels, and the LE is living environment. Today I got a chance to walk the halls with a group of folks from Estonia, and just comparing the school systems in America to those in that country. And it was amazing to watch them see how our kids were engaged. These weren't like planned visits where you kind of give the person the best lesson you've ever taught. We just got in the classrooms and we saw what happens daily in the lives of our students. And our students were on fire today, and our teachers had lessons that were designed for them to be on fire. So I appreciate all that we're seeing with our teachers, especially entering next week. And we know they do this year round, but to acknowledge, you know, to have a week of acknowledgement is important. The next slide is one of our bright, smiling students at East, and that picture is her all day, except a couple months ago, you would have saw her with that same smile, but squinting. And Zari got her first pair of glasses and through our vision care program, and she is definitely seeing the world through a different lens, pun intended. But the vision care program is not only supporting students at East, but it's supporting students throughout the Rcsd. As you know, yearly, the vision care program produces about 1,000 pair of glasses for free for students in the Rcsd. And they're even extending some of the work to college students in the community who can't afford glasses. We have a few students who come through, and parents as well. And so for our students who are measuring eyes and taking the metrics and then producing and grinding the lenses for 1,000+ people per year, congrats to you all, and congrats to the teachers over there, Mr. Newman and his associates, for not only teaching kids skills, but also giving them an opportunity to see. The next slide highlights some of the work being done in our English class. And this is our English podcast. These students took, and the podcast is there, also the link to the board, and this should be available on the website as well. For their year-end embedded performance tasks, they were making podcasts around issues of race and identity. And it was amazing to sit and watch and listen to these young people have very thoughtful discussions and dialogue about these topics. It requires them to do extensive research, so it's not a podcast where you just give your opinion. It's a podcast that's rooted in some type of discovery and research, and then it ends with their opinion on what they've read or researched. And I encourage the board to listen to the podcast. I encourage the community to listen to the podcast. We are going to, after hearing this round, I committed to buying better mics and better equipment so these students can continue this craft. And as we know, podcasts and blogs are the way in which students are communicating how news is shared. So much so that I see the president is going to have a blog now. So that's the way to get to the people, right? There's actually some research right now that's discussing the use of books. And you see authors no longer writing long text. They're shortening their text to 100 to 150 pages, and then having podcasts and blogs to be associated with those texts, because people don't necessarily want to sit and read anymore in that traditional sense. The next slide is a huge shout out. One of the programs that we have at East that will be getting its accreditation in the coming year. Typically when you have a CTE course, you take a couple years to work out the kinks, and then you apply for the accreditation or the certification from the state. Our health professionals course is the fastest growing sequence of courses that we have at East. And the health professionals course, or biomedical laboratory and health science scholars, are trained in a myriad of health-related fields. These particular students joined with professors and staff from U of R to participate in the Future Health Professionals competition. And in their first year, as you can tell, they medaled. And so to receive a medal and to have the hard work, these are some of our juniors and seniors shown here. These are students who have already indicated a desire to enter the medical field, and having these opportunities makes it special. Next year, if the board comes and visits East, you'll see a table that is 3D in nature, and it could actually, it's so high tech, you can peel the skin off of a person. You can go in and look at how the blood flows, and you can look at the muscles. And so really giving these kids the type of equipment and experiences that we see in high-performing schools and more well-funded environments is critically important. And you'll see that next year. So I invite the board to come to our health professionals class and meet these young students. I was really pleased to hear Dr. Smalls talk about the arts initiatives that's happening throughout the summer. We too feel that art is something that's important. It's a life skill and a life passion. And this slide just highlights some of the work being done in our arts department and our ceramics classes. This is our mostly freshmen in ceramics 1. And these pieces of art were just amazing. And these are, novice kids learning how to use the kiln, and it was focused on hand and creationism. And this is something that students created. So they're working on full display. We had a group of teachers take, next slide, a group of teachers take students to the University of Rochester. The University of Rochester's student government for the last few years have created a pen pal connection with the students at East in the lower school. And they write and work on their writing skills, but also talk about, college life, and our kids tell them about the middle school life, and together having these students learn about college-going culture early on demystifies that college is a scary place that may not be accessible to them. And last but certainly not least, we, for our last Superintendent's Conference Day, we took a time for staff to work on self-care. And so we had teachers who were talented in a myriad of skills, from cooking to woodworking to painting. They set up workshops for other teachers to come in and learn from them. And we saw Latin dancing. It was all over the place. I mean, every teacher was involved in something that was taught by one of their colleagues, one of their passion projects that may not have been directly connected to the things they do for children every day, but things they may do outside of school. And so we are committed to doing more of these activities. It's not just symbolically important, but it's always good to see teachers in their natural environment, if you will, outside the classroom, and sharing those talents with others. So again, for next week, we are showing our appreciation in a myriad of ways, and we thank our teachers and our staff for committing to this profession, but also committing to our families and our youth. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nelms. Any questions for Dr. Nelms? I'll start with Commissioner Patterson. Any questions for Dr. Nelms?
When we were in San Diego at our training, the machine that he's talking about, I had an opportunity to work with it myself.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it's
all right.
It's all that he makes it to be.
Thank you. Vice President LeBron, have any questions? Any questions, Commissioner Simmons? Commissioner Malloy?
No questions.
Commissioner Powell, do you have any questions for Dr. Nelms?
No, thank you for asking.
Thank you. Commissioner Adams, any questions for Dr. Nelms?
Yes, just one. Did you say lap dancing?
I said Latin dancing.
Okay.
Ricardo, watch the draft.
Listen, we're going to just move on. Right, we are. Dr. Jello, do you have it? Thank you. So let me get myself together. We will now go to our board resolutions.
President, can I just make a request real quick?
Yep.
I just want to ask that we respond to that. Is that okay?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I just want to formally request that we do respond to the concerns that the RAP president, Angie, came in tonight to present. And I know that oftentimes when folks come in to speak to the board, it is our job to listen, and that's why we don't respond. And that's just kind of how this practice has been for a number of years. but I would be remiss if I didn't uplift that we should be responding to them and having it in writing with a detailed response to some of the concerns that they shared around pay. But I definitely have to uplift the fact of bathroom, because I worked in classrooms where I did have to have paras support bathroom, and nobody ever signs up thinking that they're going to be taking young adults, young people to the bathroom for assistance. But that is a reality that some of our families and our students and our staff face on a day-to-day basis. And it's not easy, it's not pleasant. And so that additional pay is there as an incentive, and it's certainly not even enough for that level of work, because I have seen some things myself. And so I do not want those 3 individuals who have not been paid since September for bathroom, and historically have always been paid additional pay. It's in their contract, and for a reason. They do have to have additional training and background checks and things like that to safely take kids to the bathroom for themselves and for the student. I definitely want to uplift that piece specifically so that they're paid, but that we respond to the number of other concerns that they address. Thank you. Thank you, President Elliott.
Thank you. And then just in addition to that, what's did Bente, those members get paid? Did we pay those? Okay, I didn't hear anything else, and I just wanted to make sure of that. So thank you very much. So as we consider the resolutions, I'm going to ask, we can bundle these, and so we've got a group for the consent agenda, and then there are HR resolutions and additional pays, and there are other resolutions, educational facilities, and I'm wondering if my colleagues would be okay if we bundle some of these, and certainly you could still ask questions if you have them. And so I'm going to take first the consent agenda items, resolution 534 through 538. Can I get a motion for these resolutions?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any discussion around resolutions 534 through 538? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So do we need a vote on the?
Considering there's going to be a lot of bundling tonight, I'm going to take them electronically here so I can
Okay.
do the vote.
All right. Okay, so we'll go down to resolutions 539 through 545. Can I get a motion for those resolutions? And these
So
are
moved.
HR resolutions. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion on resolutions 539 through 545? Okay, Vice President LeBron?
Yeah, can I just get clarification on what the Director of External Partnerships and Student Engagement, what that title position does and why it's under finance, when we already actually have a Executive Director of Community Partnerships. We also have someone that oversees student leadership and engagement. Just curious as to what that is and why it would be under finance.
Thank you very much for the question. We are required in the academic plan to have a role that will review and oversee charter schools and expenditures that have to go along with charter schools. In envisioning the role and how it would support the needs of the academic plan, initially it was put in the budget as a project architect, which I did not feel was in alignment with what was requested from the plan. So the discussion with the former person who was trying to envision this role was to determine how we would be able to create a title that would meet the expectations of the plan. And this was the title and the role that was developed to be in alignment with the plan.
I just have some follow-ups very quickly on that. So it's, first of all, that explanation then is even greater misleading for myself because, again, when I looked at this, I was like, what is this? We technically already have similar titles. And a Director of External Partnerships and Student Engagement is vastly different for me than someone who is going to be overseeing or charters and charter budgets. I think I would need more clarification. I'm not going to be voting on this one tonight, but I would like to see that fleshed out and not have it under a title that is a little bit, in my opinion, misleading both to the commissioners and to the public.
Commissioner Malloy?
Yeah, I have to agree. This was the same, I had questions on this very same resolution, and that explanation to me seems even worse. I know that that had been a recommendation by our state monitor, but that wasn't anything that we've ever really discussed as a board. Had never come to an agreement on. It's a recommendation, and then to see it placed here in this manner seems misleading to me. Perhaps that wasn't the intent, but it seems to be misleading. And I don't even know if we need a director who's going to be in charge of our charter schools. Perhaps that role can be served in another way, but I was really surprised to see this. And my question had been, you know, are these new positions? What are these positions? So I will not be voting on this tonight. It's a definite no for me. I think we need to be more transparent.
So Dr. Jallo, can you shed some light on it, please?
Yes, good evening, everyone. The original intent was to have a position that served as a liaison between the district and the charter schools, in that A, your numbers were increasing, number of students, it's almost close to 7,000 at the last count, and growing. And the number of schools is increasing. The schools that you have, their grades are increasing. You cover their food, their transportation, their special ed, some of their staffing, tuition, accounts payable, and there's no one person in the district looking at or monitoring all that data and all that money associated with this growing population of schools and students. I really don't care what you call it, but that was the intent, and that's what was in the plan, and that's what has already been approved. What you call it is certainly up to you and administration, but you have a growing population and a growing source of monies that are leaving this district that needs to be monitored so that you're not overpaying or you're getting underfunded or having challenges with special ed. There's no one person looking at this, and it's proven to be difficult for the district as that population grows.
Vice President LeBron?
So Dr. Jallo, I do appreciate that feedback. I do recall you mentioning this a few times and it being approved and part of the plan. And to be clear, I do think there has to be some tracking, some monitoring from the district's end. Does that require a person with a title, Director of External Partnerships and Student Engagement at $105,000 a year? I personally would argue and say no, because at that rate, we could hire 2 teachers, we could hire multiple paras TAs, more food services folks. It's a no for me, but I do appreciate, Dr. Jallo, I just want to finish very quickly. I do appreciate the notion that we do track what these expenditures are costing this district and how we're bleeding out from all those different levels that you mentioned. And I do think that we do have to have a handle on the total expenditures that charters is costing the district. Absolutely, we should know that, because you're right, it should not be in these pockets where transportation has a number, student enrollment has a number, food services has a pocket of numbers, and nobody is saying, let's look at this collectively to look at this financial impact all together, not just tuition that's going out the door, but special education, transportation, food, those types of things. So I do appreciate that. I'm just not personally sold on the title, how it's been presented in this way. For that matter of fact, they could have just put it for a $65,000 or $50,000 and said, you know, charter expenditure overseer. I just personally don't agree with the title and the rate of pay and it being under the finance department, but that's me tonight.
Yeah, be very clear. Title, rate of pay is not mentioned or would not be mentioned in the in the plan. It's a recommendation. The title and the salary portion to that title is strictly up to administration and to the board.
Dr. Myers-Small?
What I'd respectfully ask is if we table this one, set it aside, we need to come back so you thoroughly understand the description, we'll have a conversation, and then we'll figure out if we need to repurpose it or things of that nature, but if we could just table it for now.
All right, any other questions? Let me go to our Zoom. Commissioner Adams or Commissioner Powell, do you have any questions on Resolution 541?
I want to honor the superintendent's request and make that motion on that particular resolution now.
Okay. So the table goes directly to, that motion, it goes directly to?
You still need a second.
Is there a second for a table? Okay.
I have a question. There was a motion to table and a second. I believe that is Resolution 541, but that resolution has two parts. It has two positions listed there. So are you trying to table the entire resolution or just one position? Because that would mean to split the resolution into two, which we haven't done.
Yeah, so let's make a motion to split the resolution.
Could we have an explanation of the other position, though, as well, then?
What was the other, I'm sorry.
Director of Specialized Services, it's a special ed position.
Okay. All right, that's fine.
All right, so can I get a motion to split?
By my motion.
You have a motion on the table already.
So do we need to remove that motion in order that?
Yep, withdraw that.
Yeah,
motion.
so Commissioner Powell, temporarily, can you withdraw that motion? And we'll
Yes.
split these up? Thank you. So I need a resolution to split, a motion, excuse me, to split Resolution 541 into 541A.
Motion.
Is there a second for?
Second.
resolution? All those in favor of Resolution 541A?
No, you got to take the vote to split. So you have a motion and second
So
to split?
just a motion to split first?
So,
Take
yeah.
the vote.
So
Okay.
you got to take the
So
vote.
a motion, excuse me, a motion to split the resolution into 541A and 541B.
Isn't that what we
Yes.
just did?
So-
We just did
And
that.
you had the motion and the second, so you just need a vote now.
All right, so all those in
Aye.
favor of splitting the motion into A and B? Aye.
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 All those in favor? Aye, excuse me. All right, so Commissioner Powell, would you like to offer that table for Resolution 541B?
So moved.
All right. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. Do we need to vote on it?
Any discussion?
Any discussion? I'm still learning about the table piece.
To a date, and a date certain? Can you-
Yeah. When do we table it to? When do you want
I have a question.
Wait, let's get this first up. When do we need to table until?
Tuesday, I would say, because,
That's deliberation.
right?
No, Tuesdays,
Thursday.
we do have a special meeting for the consideration of resolutions ahead of
Okay,
audit
so-
and policy.
All right. Okay. All right. So Tuesday. All right. Commissioner Patterson?
Yeah, so what is the Director of Specialized Services?
Special education.
Okay, we're all set with that? Any other questions on any other resolutions? Hearing none, all those in favor of resolutions
41B.
Okay, 539
Nope.
through,
541B.
You still need to take the vote for
The vote-
541B.
The vote still needs to be taken.
on the table.
To a
All
date,
those in favor?
to a date certain until next Tuesday.
Correct.
Next Tuesday, yeah.
Until next week, Tuesday, which is May 2nd.
All right. So is there, Commissioner Adams
May
and Commissioner Powell, are you okay with table until next Tuesday, May 3rd?
My vote
Or
is
second?
yes.
Third, it's the third.
May 3rd?
May-
Okay,
It's
May 3rd, sorry.
Oh, it is May 3rd?
No, it's the third, yeah.
Oh,
May 3rd?
It's May 3rd. I
All
just
right.
looked at it in the
Okay.
calendar, I know.
Any nays on the table? All right, thank you. I thought that the table goes directly just to table, is what I was thinking, so.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah. If you table something, it just goes directly to table, is what I, yeah. So we all set on, yeah, we still, okay, and so.
So 541B has been passed to table
Yes.
until Tuesday, May 3rd. And so you still are considering the rest of the resolutions, 539 and 539 to 545 outside of 541B. Okay?
Yes. So all those in favor, we've asked questions, so all those in favor of those resolutions?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, those motions carry. Thank you very much. Can I get a motion for resolutions 546 through resolution 568?
So moved.
Can I get a second for resolution,
Second.
for those resolutions? Any questions or comments in regard to any of those resolutions? These are the additional pay resolutions?
Yes.
All right, Vice
have
President LeBron?
I just had a question on 553. You bundled that one under the scope
Yes.
too? Okay. Just, again, I appreciate that there's going to be some PD available for the teachers from Leadership Academy for Young Men, but it's also a school that you have all, and I say you all, I mean administration, have decided to close under the receivership law. So we're going to have them go through this PD as an indirect service to 473 students at Leadership Academy as school designated as CIC receivership, and they're going to participate in professional development. They will review the book study, Culturally Responsive Teaching in the Brain, which is a phenomenal book. Totally support it. However, the fact remains that the school is closing, and then you're going to disperse these teachers throughout the district. And I was just wondering how this PD is going to then be beneficial as they move forward, since they won't be working together as a group collectively.
Here comes Dr. Strickland.
Good evening, Vice President LeBron. So just an FYI, the funding source is Title I funds. And, excuse me, that's from the 1003 targeted grant, which is as a result of being a school in receivership. They are obligated to use those funds for continued professional development. In particular, this is a high instance of continuing to uplift their practices, to keep the high morale with their staff, students, and culturally responsive practices is the way to go. I would say that regardless, we're going to continue to professionally develop these teachers so that once they get this information, they employ it this year, but also as they go to different schools that absorb them, they will continue to bring those practices into those new schools. So we still have an obligation to our students, our teachers, and the best thing is that they bring this new knowledge to different schools, or if they stay at the actual Charlotte campus.
Yeah, so I appreciate that, and I want to be very clear, I don't ever want to take any PD away from any staff, right? Because everybody should have the opportunity to have professional development in their field of work. My concern is also the justification, right? So it's going to be an indirect service to 473 students, again, at leadership at a school that you all have decided to close next year, and we have less than 2 months left of school. So, you know, I would just appreciate that as additional leadership academy for young men resolutions come up, whether it's additional pay, PD, or other expenditures, that we're honest about it, even in the justification, that these students won't benefit from this PD. Perhaps some of our other students will, and certainly, hopefully, our staff will also benefit. But I just want to be clear that our kids at leadership will not be the students directly who will benefit, because they're going to be dispersed because we're closing their school. Thank you.
And I had the same question about that. Why would we spend that kind of money if the school is going to be closed? So, yeah, I don't know if it can fit in the resolution, but we certainly, you know, you need to be prepared to answer those kinds of questions, because that's really, you know, we are the stewards of the taxpayers' money. We want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence. Any questions on any of the other resolutions? Okay, let me start with Commissioner Malloy.
Thank you. I have a question regarding, well, I don't know if we need to go into executive session possibly for this, because it's just an individual in 559 also appears in another resolution. And it's a question relating to,
So which resolution would you like to take into executive session?
Resolution 559.
All right. So can I get a motion to remove? Can we do that?
Okay.
You're okay. You can just take the vote without 559. So we'll
Okay,
just
so we
take.
don't, all right.
559?
Oh, so except
559.
559, okay. Thank you. Any other questions on any of the other, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. You good? Okay. Commissioner Adams or Commissioner Powell, do you have any questions on those resolutions? These are additional pay resolutions?
No.
Okay, so a motion, a vote on, let me go back to the, beginning with 546
46 to 68.
to
Except
568,
five-
except for Resolution 559.
Yep.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those motions, those resolutions are approved except for 559. And we'll go down to resolutions 569 through resolution 577. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any question on these resolutions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh. Okay, all right. Now, there's a walk-on resolution, 578, I did not,
That one is going into executive session.
this is for executive session? Okay. All right. Under new business, Commissioner Powell?
Yes, thank you. The policy committee has quite a bit of work to move through the system. We have 2 policies in the student part 2 and 3 policies in the student part 1. We have a number of policies. If you look at 12B on the agenda, we have some policies that are now redundant because they have been, the content has been rolled into our code of conduct, student code of conduct. So this being the first reading, I don't think we have to walk through each and every one to ask questions, but if there are any questions now, it would be a good time to record them, and I can get you the answers by next meeting.
Any questions for Commissioner Powell about the first readings of any of the policies? Commissioner Powell, there are no questions?
Okay, thank you. Well, that covers A and B, I think. Item 12C, we tried our best to make the language more clear for policy 7000. We came to the conclusion that although it was moved out of policy committee, it's not really for prime time. And we would like to send it back to committee. I think that can be done either by an action of the board or as a directive from the chair, from the board president. So at your pleasure, I would make a motion to return that policy to policy committee.
Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, that carries, Commissioner.
Thank you. That concludes my part of the new business.
All right, thank you. So can I get a motion to approve the 22-23 board meeting calendar?
I can speak to it. Well, you asked for the motion, so I'll take that.
A motion.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I have a question.
I have a question on that calendar.
Okay. That's what I meant to say. Any questions? Sorry about that. So, Commissioner Simmons?
I just lost my place on there, but there was a question. I'm gonna just kind of peek over. You can keep that up, Commissioner Malloy, for a second. The calendar.
Commissioner Malloy?
On the April, there was a question posed to me regarding the April recess. And that same date on April 6th, I believe it is also noted at the bottom of that agenda. Can you scroll down? Thank you so much. As a makeup day, an emergency makeup day. And so a question from the community was kind of like, do we really expect people to come in on an emergency makeup day during a break like that? And so they didn't know if it was an error or. So that's the question. April 6th makeup day during the break.
Yeah, that probably should be removed.
So, can I speak to,
Sure.
just really quickly before you go? So the calendar that's in front of you, it's literally what you passed last week, but we've just plugged in the board meeting days. So the question that you're asking is as it relates to the school calendar that was passed in the business meeting last month. So
Yeah, aware
yes,
of that.
okay,
Yep,
okay.
but that is a question that came up after that.
Oh, okay.
Commissioner Malloy?
And I know we just passed the calendar, for next year, but in just looking at this, I think for future reference in our future calendars, I'm wondering if we can consider adding for our district the holiday Eid al-Fitr for our Muslim students. We have a number of Muslim students in our community, and that's the biggest holiday on the Islamic calendar. So I'm wondering if perhaps we, in the future, can consider that so that we're adequately representing the community, because we do have a large number of Muslim students.
So, Callie, what are we being directed to do, to vote on this calendar, even though we've got the April 6th emergency date? Can we amend that, though? But you're saying we voted on it last?
Yes, it was voted on last month, so I would need to pull up the resolution for last month. Currently, as it stands, I only really want to focus on the board meeting calendar, but for this particular vote, but we can certainly, if the board wants to reconsider a resolution, I can.
Vice President LeBron?
And I do think that I can call that up, right, because I voted against it. And I voted against that calendar because I tried to tell you there's some issues with it. And I know that traditionally, there's this process where folks from the city meet with county folks, but that process doesn't work for us in the city. So I just want to be clear that, again, the dates that we selected, not just for recess, but these half-days, these superintendent's days, testing dates, all of those things that are impactful to our students and families for these calendars don't make sense, and we tend to vote on them, and we do this every year, and then when these dates starts to come up as parents, I'm like, why? Why do we have a half a day, a full day, a superintendent's day, then you expect my child to come for a day, and then we talk about attendance. And so I just want to uplift that. But I'm not going to support this meeting, this calendar, either for the board meetings, primarily because we have not had a chance to review all of these dates and ensure that they don't fall under other religious observations, that they don't fall under other holidays, or that there are other major things happening. And so I'm not going to be voting even on our calendar tonight until we do that cross-examination to ensure that we're not meeting on a Tuesday on a night that is recognized by another group of or body of families or students for religious observations or other reasons. So I'll just put that out there because we should be taking a little bit more time for the entire year because we're voting on our calendar as well.
Any other conversation about the calendar? Commissioner Adams, Commissioner Powell, you have any conversation to contribute to this discussion? Commissioner Patterson?
I don't have any comment.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So then we need to, let me just extend a motion to approve to see if there are votes to approve it for tonight, or if we need to, or let me just ask what the pleasure is.
Sorry, Madam President, can you speak into your microphone? I can't make out what you're saying.
Thank you, because I had it off. So thank you. So Kalia, let me go to you. What's your, what can you share with us about this?
Well, I cannot speak to the school calendar. I can only speak to the board's calendar, which only represents what the board has already directed us to do, which is every Tuesday of the month, except for the 5th Tuesday and the 3rd Thursday, the third or fourth Thursday of the month, depending on how short the month is. That is all you're voting on tonight. I don't have anything else. The only thing that I put in as well is also, as board leadership has asked, the first Thursday of the month for a work session. But I don't have nothing else regarding, everything else was voted already on the school calendar. So it's really literally just the Tuesdays, the last Thursday for the business meeting, and the work session. That's the vote.
So
for
if this
tonight.
calendar has been approved, aside from the board's piece of this, why is this presented to us?
This is protocol. Every year you vote on the board's meeting so
board's
that we
meetings.
can post
Okay.
on the website all the board's
Okay.
meetings.
All right, so in that explanation, in terms of us voting on the board's meeting, is there a motion to vote on the board's meeting for approval of this?
Can we amend this calendar?
Well, you could amend it for the board piece.
Motion that we approve the calendar for board meetings as is.
All right, is there a second? And this, we're talking about the board meetings, not the district calendar, but the board meetings.
You already have a motion and a second. Right now we're in the
All
question.
right, so all those, what we're voting on is for, specifically for the board calendar. All in favor
I'm
of,
sorry, just 1 minute, just so we can clarify.
okay,
So the motion is related to the current, the board meeting calendar.
yes.
Okay, and, all right.
And it was motioned by Commissioner Malloy and seconded by Commissioner Adams.
Okay, all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
All right, carry 6-1, I believe?
Oh, it is,
Excuse
I'm a
me?
nay as well.
Okay,
On that part.
so 5-2. Okay, all right, okay. And then, can I get a motion? I think we're at the point where we can go into executive session for reasons to speak with our attorney. Let me just pull up the language.
And we're also,
Motion to go into executive session to discuss a personnel matter and to confer on a legal matter, confer on a proposed pending or current litigation. So can I get a motion for that? Motion. Can I get a second?
Seconded.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. So ladies and gentlemen who are watching via YouTube, we thank you. We're going to go into executive session, and we probably will do a vote when we go out of executive session. And we just want to say right now, good night. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you during our budget deliberations. Thank you. Hello, we're back again. We're out of executive session for the time being, and we have a couple of other resolutions that we have to approve. One is a resolution 559 as amended, and we're going to remove the name of Lisa Pritchett from the resolution. So can I get a motion for the approval of?
For the amendment.
As amended.
Motion to amend.
Motion. Second.
Amend.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
The motion to amend. Thank you, Commissioner Powell and Commissioner Adams.
Now the motion as amended.
Now, we will, let me just ask for a motion for 559 as amended.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All right, any discussion on resolution 559 as amended? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, can I get a motion on resolution
572.
572? Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on resolution 572? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. So we're gonna need a motion to go back into executive session on a personnel matter. So can I get a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second? All the, any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. So we're back into executive session. Good night.
Good night. Yeah, we're not gonna.